Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some very peculiar news and almost somewhat groundbreaking news when it comes to the gaming industry. Now, as you guys may or may not know, typically the Xbox is a little bit more on the low-key side when it comes to them releasing how many Xboxes, Xbox Series X, S's, Xbox Ones, 360s, etc. have ever been sold. But in the other opposite end, we've always seen Sony being somewhat pretty confident and also pretty public when it comes to how many PlayStation 5s they've sold, PlayStation 4s they've sold, and all that type of stuff. And a lot of that's also in the name of being like, hey, at least on the Sony side, we're doing very well and doing fantastic. Here are our numbers. Go and try to beat us. And while Xbox has always been on the very low-key side because at the end of the day, their main business is still on the Microsoft in terms of like cloud hosting, in terms of say, PC, Windows, Microsoft, etc., Microsoft Word, and all that. So it's always kind of intriguing when these numbers kind of finally come out, and with this, we now actually have a huge, massive info bomb of all the information coming out here for Xbox, and funny enough, it's actually not that good for Xbox themselves. So we're going to talk about this, talk about the details, and talk about how the PlayStation 4 was pretty much actually massive in comparison. So if any of you guys are brand new, make sure you guys give your thoughts and comments down below throughout the video. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch stream down below. We have the Webull and Coinbase down below. We have the Target links especially down below. Like I said, we have a lot of folks, you guys always subscribing and all that good stuff, so thank you guys all so much for that. So as I mentioned, Microsoft's been usually tight-lipped when it comes to their consoles, but this is actually kind of a crazy one. We've now been seeing a lot more of the information coming out now over all of these years. After over 7 years now, we finally have official notice that Microsoft finally, after all this time, admits the Xbox One sales were literally less than half of that of the PlayStation 4. We haven't had the official Xbox One sales figures for 7 years so far. Now, does this mean that the Xbox is a bad console? No. Does it mean that Xbox technically lost that last console fight? Yes. Very heavily if it's more than half of the lost deficit of the consoles. That's insane to go and see. So the official Xbox sales numbers have always largely been a mystery, but now Microsoft is finally admitting the obvious: the PS4 outsold the Xbox One by a lot. Microsoft stopped reporting its Xbox One sales figures at the beginning of its 2016 financial year, instead focusing on the Xbox Live numbers. And that also is a kind of a somewhat similar trend because as of right this second, Xbox is more so focused on the Xbox Game Pass numbers and other various things such as xCloud subscribers, usage, and all of that. Which at the end of the day, if they're trying to sell more of a platform and also focal into PC as well, it kind of makes sense, but a lot of folks are always kind of curious on the console numbers. The change meant that we've never officially known how well Xbox One was holding up compared to the PS4 after the Xbox One's troubled launch. And there was a lot of drama in regards to the Xbox One. A lot of folks love the Xbox 360, and that did do phenomenally well, but it was almost like this Switch and like the Wii, all that type of stuff, Wii U, where it could go really good, like the Switch, or it could go phenomenally well, like the Wii, but sometimes you have a console right in the middle, and people just don't have the interest, or they already had their Wii, or they didn't see anything super crazy with their Wii after a while, and that was pretty much about it. So analyst estimates have consistently put Microsoft in third place behind Sony and Nintendo. And now documents submitted to the Brazil's national competition regulator have finally shed some light on how the Xbox One generation went. So I'm not actually sure if these Word docs will be the right way, but I think it might be. So this is like, if you guys have seen, we saw a pretty big legal documentation that Sony was trying to stop the Activision acquisition as well. And this is all through the Brazilian courts. And even though it is say in Brazil, they still legally have to go and obligate and show this type of stuff too on top of this, where they have the numbers and everything being showcased. Now, I wish I could do a little bit more of a special highlight too, but as you guys can probably tell, I believe it's in Portuguese. So it's a little bit harder for us to fully know the exact specifics of what's going on throughout the deals themselves. But basically, to kind of go quote this, Sony has surpassed Microsoft in terms of console sales and installed base, having sold more than twice as many Xboxes in the prior generation, admits Microsoft, as translated from Portuguese. So this is also, I think, Xbox trying to get some leverage in their big Activision acquisition, where they're like, hey, we're not the number one biggest game company buying another $70 billion company and going to become even bigger. It's more of a, hey, we're third. We're barely bronze right now, and we would like to go and try to catch up to be number one, or at least try our best to go and overpass Sony, because somehow Nintendo is still just always printing money, still to this day. And I think that also does have some pretty big legal terms. Because right now, a lot of the issues are more on the monopoly laws when it comes to the Xbox acquisitions, because they're trying to say, hey, we're going to lose so many customers and so much money. But in theory, the PlayStation, as admitted even by Microsoft, is technically a bigger gaming company, at least in regards to console and console base. So, while Sony no longer reports the PS4 shipments, which means lifetime sales sit at around 117.2 million as of March, while Microsoft hasn't provided a concrete sales number for Xbox Ones. Its admission means the company must have sold less than approximately 58.5 million units. That lines up with market research from Ampere Analysis in 2020, which put the install base of the Xbox One at around 51 million units at the end of Q2 2020. While that's not fully close, but if you're within, I'd say, if you don't have the specific numbers and guesstimating within a 7 million mark, that's not too bad. At the end of the day, it's not as fine-tuned as we expect, but it does add some merit to the analysts that they're at least a smidgen close to their guesstimations. But it kind of just goes to show that right now, the PlayStation 5 is also doing phenomenally well. Not fully at an over double, I believe, at this current moment, but over time, if the production rates kind of continue, they will probably go and double the amount of Xbox Series S's and X's sold just in the general market. And I'm sure this is also kind of a somewhat weird thing to go mention, because you don't want to be known as the guy who sold half as many PlayStations when even Nintendo as well has been doing phenomenal. Good examples, the Nintendo Switch is still currently sitting at 111 million lifetime sales, and also is looking to pass even the PS4 later on this year. Microsoft seems to be closing the gap, though, with its Xbox Series X and S consoles, though. Ampere Analysis said that Sony ended 2021 with PS5 cumulative sell-through reaching 17 million units, which is around 1.6 times the performance of the Xbox Series sales. Well, I do want to still go and still say that it has been not the best, though. I'm sure you guys would agree. A catch-up's nice. We like seeing numbers. We like seeing numbers getting closer. But if you go and have still a 1.6% deficit in regards to all of this, that's not really the best. You're still being beaten by a pretty large margin when it comes to console sales. And this is also right after them also reporting that their hardware revenue decline has actually been even bigger as of recently, which would make sense. Less folks are trying to buy the Xbox Series S. And as well, we've been seeing Xbox Series X's sitting on websites, in storefronts, and just general bundles, basically lasting a lot longer, and especially in comparison to the PS5. We've also seen a huge influx of brand new PlayStation 4 sales going on too as well, so we've just kind of been noticing these numbers quite a bit. Recently, CEO Satya Nadella said that Microsoft has been the market leader in North America for 3 quarters in a row among next-gen consoles. Microsoft still doesn't reveal official Xbox sales figures, though, which is one thing I kind of wish we could see, although after all this time, they are finally admitting it. The Xbox One might not have sold well, but Microsoft's work on the Xbox One generation laid some important groundwork for the Xbox Series S and X, which, as you guys can see, at least is comparing to the PS5 a lot closer. Microsoft transitioned to the Xbox Series X with 1440p support, big, VRR support, also big, and that took a long time for Sony themselves to get that on their PlayStation 5s, and also lots of 120Hz games, all at launch time, thanks to testing these features on previous Xbox One consoles. Microsoft's admission of weak Xbox One sales come as part of a broader debate between Sony and Microsoft over the Xbox makers' acquisition of Activision for $68.7 billion. And this is kind of all still stemming down to the Call of Duty run, where they're basically saying we can't compete with Call of Duty, and well, at this point now, Microsoft is trying to go and push and say, we can't even compete with PlayStation, we need these deals, we are not as big as you guys expect, and Call of Duty will still be allowed to be played on PlayStation regardless, so what really is the big deal? You're trying to go push down the third place party the best you can. So this has been a very intriguing thing, and we'll probably see a lot more court documents from Brazil as well, and we'll probably see a lot more of this tied on in, because this is kind of a big deal in regards to Microsoft finally going public and finally releasing their numbers, and apparently it's not really that good. So what do you guys think? Good, bad, ugly? Give your thoughts and comments down below, as well as make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Amazon links down below for the PS5 digital console controller. We have the Twitter and Twitch stream down below. We have the also Target links. We've seen a lot of folks getting their consoles there too as well. And give me your thoughts down below and leave a like.